What's going on, YouTube family? Look, welcome to another episode of the Safe House Podcast. I want to ask y'all a question, right? Have you ever wondered to yourself why a lot of the things that you're doing in this life is not as successful as it could be? I ask myself that a lot of time. I ask that question a lot, right? I do. But I want to give you a different perspective on why it's not as successful as you would like it to be. Because the foundation in which you build your structure off of determines how high it's going to go. I'm going to say that again, but I'm going to say it a different way, right? The foundation in which you build your structure off of determines how successful it will be. And the reason a lot of the things that you're doing in this life, as far as relationships, as far as friendships, as far as business ventures, are not as successful as they need to be is because of the foundation that is built off of. Some of you built relationships off of your flesh. You had a one-night stand with her, so now you're in a relationship with her. Or you went drinking with these people, or you went smoking with these people, now they're your homies. Or these folks then helped you get a little money by scamming, so now you want to create a business venture off scamming. A lot of the foundations that you're building, a lot of the structures in your life that you're building on top of these foundations are leading it to crumble. That's why it's not as successful as you would need it to be, because you're building on improper foundations within your life. You're building on foundations that have not been laid correctly. So if the foundation has not been properly laid, anything that you build on top of it is going to crumble eventually. It may not crumble today. It may not crumble tomorrow. It may not crumble this year. But eventually, because the foundation is unstable, the structure that is built on top of it is unstable as well. And I want to give you different type of foundations in the book of Matthew. And this is a perfect illustration of it. I want to give you two of them. The first one comes in the book of Matthew, chapter 7, starting at verse 21. It said, anyone who listens to my teachings and follows it is wise, like a person who builds a house on stable, solid foundation. Though the rain comes in torrents and the flood waters rise, the wind beat against the house, it won't collapse because it is built on bedrock. It is built on a stable foundation. So the fact that house is built on a stable foundation, the foundation is stable, the house is stable, no matter what type of troubles comes against it, it won't budge. It won't collapse. Nothing will happen to it. It won't crumble because everything, the foundation, the property that is built on top of it, it is stable. Then Jesus goes on to say this, but anyone who hears my teaching and doesn't obey it is foolish, like a person who builds their house on sand. When the rain and flood comes, the wind beats against the house and it collapses into a mighty crash. And that is what's happening when we build our lives, when we build our lives on unstable foundations, because everything that we build on top of it is going to be just like that house that is built on sand. It's eventually just going to wash away. It's eventually going to just crash. It's eventually going to just collapse because the foundation is improper. And if you want to be able to have success in all of these different areas in your life, you have to stop building your relationships, your friendships, your business ventures, your prayer life, all of these things on improper foundations. No. And I want to let you know what the foundation that you should be building these things off of through the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. And he says this. He said, because of God's grace to me, I have laid the foundation like an expert builder. Now others are building on it. But whoever is building on this foundation must be very careful, for no one can lay any foundation other than what we have already laid. And guess what that foundation is? Jesus Christ. So we need to be able to build these structures on the kingdom of God. Not on our fleshly desires, not on our selfishness, not on our greed, not on our pride, not on our arrogance. We need to be able to build these structures on the foundations of God, because that is the only foundation that will allow us to be prosperous in this life. That everything that we build on it, especially with pure and genuine intentions, will become successful. And the thing that you need to understand is this, that it may not be an overnight success. So don't get discouraged. That is one of the things that I did. I'm like, God, it's going, I'm building all of these things, through you. But why isn't it taking off like this? Why isn't it taking off like that? And God had to sit me down and help me to understand, like this is not going to be an overnight process. It's not. There's things that I have to do within you first before I can do these things on the outside of you. I need to make sure that your heart posture is correct. I need to make sure that you are stable internally before I bless you externally. And that is and that is the problem that a lot of us have. We sit there and we expect God to do all of these things to bless us externally, not understanding that what's inside of us internally will eventually lead what he gave us externally to crumble, because we don't know how to steward over these things. So if you want success in your business ventures, if you want success in your relationships, if you want success in your friendships, if you want success in anything that you're trusting God for, you need to be able to build it on the foundation of him. Because that is the most stable foundation that you will ever have in this life. Now, I hope that message was for somebody like it was for me, and I just thank God for it, all right? So y'all be blessed, Safe House family.